Ever find yourself working with a Fabric notebook and wanting to easily connect into a lakehouse in another workspace? We answer that question today on this chapter of DataBard. DataBard, 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 DataBard. Dabba 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 dabba, hoi hoi hoi. This question came up at FabCon from somebody who attended my Intro to PySpark session, and honestly, I didn't have a good chance to demo it there, so I'm gonna demo it here. How to create a notebook, identify that there's a lakehouse in another workspace that we want to connect to, and build a full notebook to do just that. Let's turn the page and jump into the demo. Alright, now before we get into the demo, if you want to see this script, I'll have it out on my GitHub repo. Check the link in the description. That'll get you the sample script if you want to try it in your own Fabric environment. Now, what are we trying to do again? Take a look at this. Here, I'm in my DataBard workspace, and I've got a just simple demo lakehouse here that I want to connect into. But I'm in my workspace. Different workspace, so I want to get connected into this. I'm going to use my Workspace Voyager demo. Okay, I had to get a little artistic with it, right? So, if we want to connect into a lakehouse sitting in another workspace, we need two things. We need the lakehouse name, obviously. We also need the workspace ID. Now, taking a look at some of the libraries and such that are available, I was really hoping to be able to use a single library to do this to make it nice and easy. Unfortunately, I actually had to use two for option 2, but there's an option 1 that's even better. Let me show you. So, to set up our demo, I've got two variables defined. Alright, variables, workspace name, lakehouse name. Alright, nice and easy. Okay, so we can reference these by name with option 1. Alright, so for option 1, did you know, and this is something that I wish more people knew about, so this is why I'm bringing it up. Did you know that when you're referencing objects in Fabric, typically if you're using the notebook experience and you're dragging and dropping from the left into your screen, it gives you an absolute path or a relative path. And if you use the absolute path is like a GUID value representing the workspace and a GUID value representing the lakehouse. You don't actually have to use that. You can actually use the names instead in this format. ABFS : workspace name add onelake.dfs.fabric.microsoft.com /lakehousename.lakehouse. I'll run at least this first cell to get the variables into memory. And then we'll run the second one here, which in this case, I'm going to reference those two variables with a Spark read format, load, and there's the exact same thing I talked about. And through there, I'm able to navigate the whole way to Lakehouse, Tables, DBO, because I'm using a Lakehouse schema, Dimension Customer. And sure enough, referencing it by name instead of by GUID value, we're able to get it. It is truly that easy. And at least that could work for a lot of cases if you know at least that's the structure that exists. Spark job's running, that should complete very shortly, and there it goes. Alright, so that's actually probably the simplest way to do it. But maybe you want something that it lets you do this, but you can also get additional properties about either your workspace or your lakehouse. We're going to bring in two libraries that everybody should be using if you're working with notebooks in Fabric. First one, Notebook Utils. It's in the name, Notebook Utility. It is here to make your notebooks easier. The second one, maybe not so well known, SemPy or Semantic Python. And we're using specifically the Fabric section of it. I was ideally hoping to do this with just Notebook Utils, but there's one thing that Notebook Utils right now can't easily find. It can't find the workspace ID or name of another workspace. So I'm at least showcasing that part here. Beyond that, having to use the two libraries, it's still a fairly simple call. Bring them in, and then first we use SemPy here to pull in through the Fabric part of the SemPy library. we pull in a list of workspaces and we filter it down to that same variable we set above, workspace name. Technically returns a data frame, so we have to return the first tuple that is returned in the data frame. And then from there, we can reference the properties of what was in that tuple, which then lets us take notebook utils, the Lakehouse section, and we can do a get call with Lakehouse name and workspace ID to get our value. Quick display of that showcases we're able to get that going.
Huggy.
I have been invaded.
Daddy, huggy.
Huggies. Good night. This moment was brought to you by Rowan Enterprises. So that's at least how we can get there utilizing SemPy and notebook utils. And this allows us to do it off of the same thing. A workspace name, a Lakehouse name, and that's all we need. We can access it in any workspace that exists. The other thing I'll say I like about this one is I feel like it gives us some more flexibility if we want to do what many of us want to do with PySpark, make functions. And that's where this becomes a very simple function call to get Lakehouse Universal, just 2 calls returning the value, and I get my Lakehouse definition as an object, which gives me the path and a whole lot of other properties besides. This quickly makes working with these notebooks a lot easier, even if your Lakehouse is in a different workspace. And there you have it, a really nice, easy way to connect into a Lakehouse no matter where it is. Same Lakehouse or different Lakehouse. Can I help you?
What?
You're here to learn about lakehouses, right?
Yes.
We should all believe her, right? So again, the nice thing about it is all you have to do is take those 2 variables, define them in a parameter cell, and now you can pass in dynamic values into this notebook and get a value back that is the definition of the Lakehouse. This can make it much easier to patternize your notebooks, which we all want to do, so we can process a lot of data in a lot of different ways. That's what PySpark's all about. That brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and if this is helpful, hit that like and subscribe button to be alerted of future videos on this channel on topics like this. And if you have any other questions like this, put those questions in the comments. I check those for questions from the community, and I'll be happy to answer that and more questions as you have them. For now, I'm Data Bard, and I'll see you in the next chapter.